Vacate these premises. This establishment isn't for your sort. George Vance, the imposing manager of the Grand Seattle Hotel, stood rigidly behind the polished counter, his arms defensively crossed, a sneer etched onto his features. He didn't bother to soften his tone or conceal his contempt. His voice boomed across the opulent space, ensuring every guest could hear his chilling pronouncement. His gaze, piercing and dismissive, fixated on her, a woman dressed simply, yet radiating quiet strength, and in that moment he unilaterally declared her an outcast, unfit for his luxurious domain. What he couldn't possibly fathom was that in merely 9 minutes, this very woman would strip him and every member of his prejudiced team of their livelihoods, right here in the extravagant lobby where he'd just tried to shame her. Anya Sharma glided through the gleaming glass doors of the Horizon Grand, utterly unaccompanied. No personal assistant, no designer accessories, no flashy labels, just a plain black top, well-fitting jeans, and eyes that held the calm wisdom of someone who'd faced this indignity before. Her sneakers barely whispered on the marble, yet her calm entrance sent an unsettling ripple through the plush lobby. As she approached the reception desk, George, 48, flanked by 2 equally unwelcoming clerks, Lisa Harrison, 30, with a tight bun and a taut, forced smile, and Ken Peterson, 27, arms already folded, eyes narrowed in blatant suspicion, offered no greeting, no welcoming smiles. They merely scrutinized her from head to toe, as if she were a brewing storm. "I have a booking," Anya stated, her voice even, unwavering. "The penthouse suite. My name is Sharma." George squinted as if her words were foreign. "That's a very exclusive room. Are you certain you made a reservation at the correct hotel?" Anya ignored his thinly veiled insult. Calmly, she extended her identification and a sleek black credit card across the counter. George retrieved them with 2 fingers, holding the card as if it might contaminate him. "Peculiar," he murmured, his tone laced with suspicion. "This seems highly irregular." Lisa, ever eager to please, pressed a button on the desk, her voice ringing out over the intercom. "Security to the front desk. We may have an unauthorized individual attempting to access a premium suite. Possible fraud." Anya's expression remained unyielding, her voice a low, steady hum. "I am not here to cause trouble. I am here for my room." Ken scoffed. "Oh, please. People try this all the time. Fancy cards they found, fake names, hoping we won't verify." Across the expansive lobby, Sophia Lewis, a travel influencer visiting from San Francisco, had already aimed her phone. "I'm recording this," she whispered to her friend Jake Ryan. Then louder, "This is going online. People need to witness this." Jake immediately started a live stream. "We're at the Horizon Grand in Seattle," he narrated, his voice "and we're watching something truly appalling unfold in real time." Emily Rodriguez, the young concierge standing quietly to the side, looked up from her post. Her eyes met Anya's and a silent, swift exchange passed between them. Perhaps recognition or a flicker of profound concern. Emily took a tentative step forward, but George's sharp glance cut her off. "She has no business being here," he snapped. Anya subtly retrieved her phone and sent a discreet message. In a corporate office just 3 blocks away, her executive assistant Maya Thompson answered instantly. "It's happening," Anya stated softly. Maya's reply was immediate. "The system is prepared." George still toyed with Anya's card, flipping it, as if expecting it to confess a secret. "You know," he declared, his voice rising, "we've encountered this charade before. Guests claim bookings, flash a high-limit card, then vanish the moment we contact their bank. Not this time." He turned to Ken, handing him the card. "Secure it." Ken eagerly took the card, walking to a small cabinet behind the desk. With exaggerated care, he opened a drawer, revealing a gleaming steel safe. He placed the card inside and slammed the door shut. "You are finished here," he said, a triumphant smirk on his face. Sophia, still recording, gasped. "They just confiscated her card." Jake moved close. "That's outright theft. That's completely against policy." Anya stood motionless, her voice a calm ripple. "You will rue this decision." At 24, Anya had stumbled into an upscale hotel in Atlanta after a grueling red-eye flight, dressed in sweats and utterly exhausted. Despite having a confirmed reservation, the man at the front desk had eyed her up and down, declaring, "You don't appear to be the type who stays here." He'd claimed the system was down and told her to return when the manager was present. That night, she'd slept in her car. The next morning, a burning resolve ignited within her, and she began drafting a business strategy that would blossom into one of the nation's largest hospitality empires. Now standing in the very lobby of a hotel she owned, under her own brand, that same dismissive tone, that same baseless assumption, that same kind of man sought to invalidate her once more. George leaned forward, his voice dripping with condescension. Your reservation is a no. We do not tolerate deceit. You are obstructing actual guests. Anya didn't even blink. You mean the ones observing this spectacle right now? She subtly gestured towards Sophia and Jake, whose phones were still raised. Other guests had paused their activities, some staring openly, some whispering in hushed tones, many clearly uneasy. Emily watched, her jaw clenched tight. Lisa interjected, her voice sharp. You must depart immediately. Anya met her gaze. Are you quite certain? Lisa's confidence oozed. Absolutely. Or we will summon the authorities. George smirked. Go ahead, cause a scene. It won't end favorably for you. Anya's eyes remained steady. That is the very last time you will address me in such a manner. Finally, Emily stepped forward. She's correct. I verified her name in our system this morning. Her booking is legitimate. George whirled toward her, his voice a dangerous hiss. One more utterance from you, and you're dismissed too. Anya reached for her phone again, her voice now carrying more weight. Maya, document this exact moment. Secure the video timestamps. Maya's voice was clear and crisp through the phone. Logged. Systems are ready. Jake leaned toward the desk, pointing at the card visible through the safe's glass. It says A. Sharma VIP. It's real, she's real. George scoffed. Anyone can fabricate a card. People like her. Anya cut him off, her voice low and dangerous. Complete that remark. Go on. But the words died in his throat as he finally registered the growing circle of watchful eyes. Anya advanced, calm and utterly composed. Yet every syllable she uttered resonated with immense power. You have just made the gravest error of your professional existence, she declared. George managed a weak smile, clinging to a fading sense of control. Oh, do you think so? She met his gaze, her eyes unwavering. No, I know. As the tension in the lobby tightened like a suffocating cord, neither George nor Lisa, nor Ken had any inkling of her true identity. But that was about to change. Ken Peterson's voice rang out across the lobby, laced with forced authority, as he held up the small silver key to the safe, like a prized trophy. This card is now the property of the company, he announced, and until the bank confirms its validity, you won't reclaim it. He grinned, smug and performative, utterly convinced of his triumph. Behind him the safe door clicked shut with an ominous finality, but Ken remained oblivious to the storm he had just unleashed. Anya Sharma stood unyielding, her face unreadable, her silence far more commanding than any furious outburst. George leaned in again, his eyes flickering toward the steadily growing crowd. You are wasting everyone's valuable time, he asserted. Depart now or we will make that decision for you. It was then that Lisa, emboldened by her manager's backing and Ken's theatrics, stepped from behind the desk, straightened her blazer, and reached for Anya's arm. You have been warned. It's time for you to vacate the premises. The instant her hand made contact, the entire ambiance of the lobby fractured. Gasps erupted. Sophia Lewis's phone instantly captured the shocking movement. She just grabbed her. Sophia cried out, already uploading the clip to Reddit with a terse caption. Live at Horizon Grand. This is happening. Jake's live stream now boasted over 100 viewers, most of them flooding the chat with incredulous comment. Emily Rodriguez stepped forward, her voice trembling with barely suppressed fury. You cannot lay hands on a guest, she declared sharply. Her reservation is valid. Lisa spun around, her eyes flashing. Stay out of this if you value your employment. But Emily refused to back down. She looked at Anya, who hadn't stirred an inch, and took a small step closer. I will not lie for you, she stated to George. That was the precise moment. George abandoned all pretense. She is attempting to defraud us. People like her always believe they can manipulate the system. His tone was lower now, more venomous, but the words reached the ears of at least 3 nearby guests. One of them, a silver-haired woman holding her phone slightly higher, murmured to no one in particular, I cannot believe what I am hearing. Another, a man in a crisp navy suit, leaned toward Jake's stream and asked, Are you capturing all of this? Jake nodded firmly, every single bit. In the eye of this escalating storm, Anya remained perfectly still. She raised her phone to her ear. Maya, she said calmly, initiate the internal systems escalation protocol. Begin audit documentation. I want every single word logged from this moment forward. On the other end, Maya Thompson's voice was crisp. Understood. Time-stamped it and recorded. Shall I have Chloe standing by? Anya replied. Give me one more minute. As she spoke, Ken leaned over the desk and bellowed, loud enough to echo off the far wall. You're a fraud, lady. You think a card grants you access here? Go back to where you came from. A chorus of murmurs rose from the lobby. Emily was now fully out from behind the concierge podium, standing shoulder to shoulder with Anya. I have served here for 3 years, she declared, her voice firm. And I have witnessed this pattern countless times. Every time a guest like her enters alone, confident, dressed casually, you treat them like criminals. George's eyes narrowed. And every time someone challenges it, Emily continued, you claim it's policy, but it's not. It's you. A vivid memory surfaced in Anya's mind. She was 16, dressed in her best Sunday attire, waiting in a Charlotte hotel lobby. Her parents were running late. A clerk had approached her, stating, this area is reserved for guests only. She tried to explain, but the woman wouldn't listen. Anya had been escorted to the sidewalk like a loiterer. The sting of shame had lingered in her spirit for years. Yet, it hadn't diminished her. It had sharpened her resolve. It had driven her to build. George wasn't finished. He turned toward Emily. Enough. I demand she be removed now, or I'll have security escort both of you. Lisa, who had been silent since Sophia resumed filming, quickly added, she refused to present valid identification. This is a violation. I am reporting it. But the tide of public opinion was already turning against them. Jake, still filming, turned the camera toward his own face. Just to be clear, he articulated, we are witnessing a guest being harassed by hotel staff after she provided her name, card and ID, and now they are physically attempting to remove her. This isn't merely poor service. This is repulsive. Anya turned to Ken, her voice no louder than before. Return my card now. Ken leaned over the counter, a sneer twisting his lips. Or what? Anya's gaze remained fixed. Or you will be permanently locked out of the Horizon system. No future employment, no references, no appeal. Lisa snorted. You don't speak for Horizon. But Emily immediately spoke up. She does. George's voice cracked like a whip. You are out of line, Emily. You don't even comprehend who she is. Sophia interjected from the side. Oh, she does. We all do. She turned the camera back to Anya. Observe her stance. Witness her composure. That is not a person begging for service. That is a person allowing you to dig your own grave. Anya's voice remained steady. Ken, one final opportunity. Ken looked genuinely uncertain for the first time. George attempted to salvage the crumbling moment. This is not personal. It's about established procedure. But his words came too late. Sophia and Jake's videos were already rapidly circulating, and guests were openly whispering about what they had just witnessed. One man declared, I've patronized this establishment for years. Never again. A young woman clutching a carry-on bag turned to Emily. Her voice hushed. Is she truly who I suspect she is? Emily offered no verbal answer, but her silence spoke volumes. Then the stunning revelation that dramatically altered the lobby's atmosphere. Emily stepped forward, her voice now louder, brimming with conviction. This isn't the first instance of George ignoring such complaints. He's been warned. I documented 3 similar incidents last month, 2 involving solo women of color. All were dismissed. George's face flushed crimson. That's a fabrication. Jake swung the camera toward him. Are you certain? Anya slowly surveyed the room. Every phone was now raised, every guest paying rapt attention. She spoke to no one in particular, yet loud enough for every single person to hear. Your reign of unchecked power in this establishment is over. George attempted one last desperate maneuver. Fine. If you won't depart, I will summon the police myself. Anya smiled, pleased, and for a fleeting moment, George faltered, for the first time detecting something in her expression that profoundly unnerved him. Not fear, not hesitation, but sheer, controlled, silent power, utterly beyond his grasp. Guests began to move, subtly yet deliberately, positioning themselves between Anya and the front desk. They didn't know her name yet, but they understood enough. One woman intentionally rolled her suitcase directly into Lisa's path. Another man disconnected his phone charger from the desk outlet and stood protectively beside Emily. Jake turned his phone around, capturing the growing crowd. They're shielding her now, he narrated into the stream. Anya, still at the heart of the gathering, took a single step forward and uttered one sentence. This lobby belongs to me. The words didn't need to be shouted. Ken's smirk vanished. Lisa's gaze dropped to the floor. George blinked, his composure cracking. And in that split-second silence, the lobby, once a den of hostility, began its profound transformation. Remove her now. George's voice cracked across the marble lobby like a gavel, desperate to reclaim the control that had irrevocably slipped through his finger. The lobby was no longer hushed. Phones were raised high, whispers escalating into open protests. But George, red-faced and trembling with an authority he no longer possessed, pressed on regardless. She's trespassing. She's a liar, he bellowed. He spun toward the intercom and slammed his hand down on the button. Ken's voice crackled across the entire lobby's speaker system. Attention all staff. Unauthorized individual in the lobby. Do not engage. Repeat. Do not engage with this guest. Fraud alert. The moment the announcement concluded, the ensuing silence felt heavier than the words themselves. Anya remained unflinching, but the guests visibly recoiled. Sophia Lewis shouted from the corner, her voice trembling not with fear but with righteous fury. She's no fraud. We're recording everything. Jake's live stream viewership surged past 2. Comments flooded the screen like crashing waves. That's theft. Unreal. How is this happening in a luxury hotel? A mother with her teenage daughter backed away from the check-in line, whispering, they're going to deeply regret this. Meanwhile, Lisa, shaken but still clinging to George's lead, grabbed Anya's arm again, yanking her toward the exit. Let's go. You're humiliating yourself, she hissed through clenched teeth. That was when Emily Rodriguez stepped between them, physically the youngest staff member in the room, the only one who had consistently spoken out. She now stood shoulder to shoulder with Anya. Do not touch her again, she declared, loud and clear. Lisa froze. You'll be terminated, she spat. Emily didn't back down. Then dismiss me, she snapped. But you are not laying your hands on her. George surged forward, his frustration boiling over. Do you even comprehend who she is? He barked at Emily. She's a fraud. Look at her. He gestured at Anya's simple shirt, her jeans, her sneakers, as if her attire alone proved his point. Individuals who reserve penthouse suites do not look like that. Anya's voice remained quiet, perfectly measured. You continue to utter that word fraud, as if it will somehow erase your colossal mistake. She took one small step forward, the distance between them shrinking like a tightening noose around George's false narrative. At 29, Anya had flown into Los Angeles for a conference, wearing a professional but understated navy pantsuit. The man behind the desk had scrutinized her identification, then her face, then the card again. This cannot be you, he'd stated. We will require a second form of identification. She'd provided one, then another, yet they'd still made her wait 2 agonizing hours for verification. Meanwhile, she'd watched 3 Caucasian men walk in and secure suites without even presenting ID. That very night, she had drafted the policy she would later implement in her own hotels: zero tolerance for guest profiling. That moment was etched into her very being. And now so was this one. Summon security. George barked at Ken, who had retreated from the desk and now hovered near the office hallway, visibly unsure. Call them in immediately. But Ken hesitated. His confidence had cracked, for before him stood not a woman begging for entry, but someone who possessed knowledge he did not. And worse, the guests were watching. Sophia's phone moved from face to face, capturing every twitch of guilt, every flicker of faltering power. Jake, still live streaming, turned toward a nearby guest. Sir, what is your observation here? The man replied without a moment's hesitation. I witnessed someone being unjustly expelled from a hotel she clearly belongs in. George spun. That's slander. She has presented no proof. Anya calmly turned her phone toward the growing crowd. Would anyone care for proof? Jake immediately called out, show them. But she didn't produce a badge or unfurl a contract. Instead, she turned to Emily and asked softly, do you see my name in the reservation system? Emily nodded. Yes, it's under a Sharma penthouse, checked in remotely. And is the VIP tag affixed to it? Anya continued. Emily nodded again. Yes, marked as executive level override, owner level clearance. A profound silence descended upon the lobby. George's eyes darted frantically. That could have been faked. She could have hacked it. Sophia snapped, her voice incredulous. Do you genuinely believe someone just walked in off the street, hacked your system, and brought 2,000 witnesses with them? Lisa, suddenly pale, stared down at the floor,
Ken stepped forward hesitantly. I secured the card in the safe under your instruction, George. What if we are mistaken? Anya turned toward him. You were instructed to steal from me, and that is precisely what you did. But you had a choice. Ken's mouth opened, then clamped shut. Then the crowd shifted. A guest, an older woman with silvery hair and a floral scarf, moved forward, positioning herself between Anya and Lisa, and stated simply, "You are not laying a hand on her again." Another man joined, then a woman with a stroller. Within seconds, a loose semicircle had formed in front of Anya, as if the guests themselves had drawn an invisible boundary. George stood behind the desk, suddenly appearing much smaller than he had moments ago. Anya looked around at the human shield that had manifested without her asking. "This is what occurs," she said softly, "when silence ceases to be an option." Jake turned his phone to the crowd. "They are standing with her now," he narrated into the camera, "and I do not believe they are departing." George's desperation reached its zenith. He shouted over the rising lobby noise, "You are all being manipulated. She is exploiting you." And then Ken, still holding the intercom microphone, whispered something barely audible, yet the entire lobby heard it, as it echoed through the speakers. "She owns the place, doesn't she?" The words hung in the air like a plume of smoke. Sophia slowly panned her phone toward Anya's face. "Do you?" she asked, breathless. Emily stepped forward. "She does." Gasps rippled across the vast room. A man near the lounge chairs whispered, "Wait. This is her hotel." Lisa turned to George in sheer horror. "You claimed she was fabricating the truth." George remained speechless. Jake looked into his lens. "This is the precise moment. Everything irrevocably transformed." Anya stepped forward again, past Emily, past the protective semicircle of guests, directly to the front desk, where George stood frozen in disbelief. "You desired my expulsion," she stated evenly. "You slandered me. You branded me a thief. And you humiliated me in my own lobby." George opened his mouth, but no sound emerged. From Anya's phone, Maya's voice resonated, loud and clear. "Anya, Chloe is prepared. Shall I patch her through?" Anya's eyes remained fixed on George. "Yes." She tapped the screen once, and Chloe Brennan's voice, sharp and deliberate, filled the air. "Anya, everything is ready. We are standing by for your authorization." Anya took a deep breath. "Terminate George Vance. Terminate Lisa Harrison. Terminate Ken Peterson. Immediate removal from the Horizon system. Freeze their access credentials. And log today's incident for legal audit." "Confirmed," Chloe stated. "Processing now." And in that instant, George's access badge buzzed red. So did Lisa's. So did Ken. They were locked out. Leave in front of every single guest. No shouting. No theatrics. Just justice. Quiet. Complete. Irreversible. In the eyes of every guest present, a single, undeniable truth became clear. This woman hadn't merely defended herself. She had dismantled an entire system in mere minutes. George Vance's last vestige of composure shattered the instant. His access badge flashed red. He stared at it, utterly stunned, as if it had betrayed him. Ken's face drained of color, as his own badge blinked the same error, locking him out of the Horizon system in real time. Lisa froze, her lips slightly parted in disbelief, still gripping the edge of the counter as if clinging on would somehow prevent her employment from vanishing beneath her feet. But the lobby had already undergone a profound shift. What once felt like a stage for dominance now pulsed with the electric hum of rebellion. Emily Rodriguez, no longer the timid concierge, stood tall beside Anya, her jaw tight, her voice steady. "They have been removed," she announced, loud enough for every guest to hear. "They no longer speak for Horizon." George erupted. "This is unlawful. You can't just... This isn't how hotels operate." He turned to Lisa, desperate. "Contact corporate. Get someone on the line now." But Lisa's hands trembled as she fumbled with her phone. "Blocked. Horizon's internal system has deactivated my staff login credentials. I'm locked out," she whispered, panic blossoming across her face. "Everything's gone." Ken attempted to move toward the safe to retrieve Anya's card, but Emily raised her hand, a silent but firm command. "Stop right there," she ordered. "You are no longer authorized to handle guest property. Step away from the counter." Ken hesitated, then slowly backed away. And then came the final crushing blow. George, boiling with humiliation, lashed out in the most despicable way possible. Do you honestly believe this circus makes you a leader? He snarled at Anya. You manipulated your way in. You publicly disgraced us. You will face legal action for this. But his voice cracked. Just slightly. He was no longer in control. And he knew it. Anya, still remarkably calm, tilted her head slightly. Do you think leadership is about concealing truths, George? Manipulating perception? She gestured to the guests surrounding them. Leadership is when individuals who have been ignored for too long finally find their voice, and they are heard. As if on cue, a woman in the crowd raised her voice. You never took my grievance seriously last spring, she stated. I sent an email about an incident during check-in, and no one ever followed up. You were the one who responded and dismissed it. George turned sharply to glimpse her face, then quickly looked away. Recognizing her, another voice chimed in. I was charged twice for a room, and received no response until I threatened legal action.